Donald Trump is watching his term collapse around him, and when his back is against the wall, when he feels this level of panic, there is only one thing he is willing to do. It's not change his policies so he's actually improving people's lives or stop breaking the law, stop grifting. No. Donald Trump has taken his tiny little fingers to Truth Social, where he has posted a string of posts that I can only describe as a meltdown with one particular image disturbing the hell out of the internet. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into the posting meltdown, we got to start with what's caused it, and that's two main issues. Of course, Donald Trump's Jeffrey Epstein scandal, the other being Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation over Donald Trump's Jeffrey Epstein scandal, and Jasmine Crockett broke that all down and more in this clip right here.
What went through your mind when you first heard she was going to resign on January 5th?
You know what? Honestly, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You're on the other side of the president for 1 week and you can't take the heat. Imagine what it is to sit in my shoes, to not only be on the opposite side of him, but to have people like her who are constantly fanning the flames of hate. And imagine what those threats look like when you literally are someone like me. But at the end of the day, I know that I serve the people of Texas 30. And so my job isn't to be there and necessarily do whatever is going to make the president not be on my back, but instead is to focus on making sure that I can push forward with policies that are positive for Texas 30.
So she seems to be suggesting that it is their disagreement over the release of the Epstein files that is causing this shocking political breakup. What's your response to that?
I mean, listen, he's upset with Thomas Massie, and so he's gone after him. He's upset with Boebert. He's upset with any Republican that actually signed the discharge petition. But somehow they were able to weather the storm. So, you know, this really speaks to the fact that Marjorie, who has been an instigator of a lot of this hate that we see as it relates to the MAGA movement, you know, it's just interesting that I don't know if she really fully understood how bad she was making it for other people. And now that they're doing it to her, you know, I just got to say, well, why is it that everyone else is able to stand and you can't?
The House Oversight Committee, which you are a member of, said Friday night that your committee is expanding its investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Do you have any idea what this expanded investigation might include?
I do not at this point in time. I'll say leadership is keeping it under wraps to make sure that we can hopefully not have many more obstacles. If you'll remember, we decided that we were going to put out a subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell, and the next thing you know, the president's henchman showed up to her cell, and the next thing you know, we didn't have our sit-down talk with her, which I imagine would have gone a little differently if we had. So we're keeping that tight-lipped for now.
The chairman of the Oversight Committee, James Comer of Kentucky, says that Democrats are just trying to use these files to smear the president. Just to be clear, do you or your colleagues have any idea about what's in these files, one way or the other, relating to Trump or not?
Absolutely not. I mean, here's the reality. If we did have that information, I don't know that we would need it necessarily to be released. And we know that the Republicans keep saying, you know, figure out what it is the Democrats have done and make sure that you can pull out the Democratic stuff and make sure you get rid of all the Republican names. Listen, I don't really care who is in the files. At the end of the day, right is right, wrong is wrong. And if you are truly about law and order, then we should be looking for who it is that has broken the law and in what ways. And we need to better understand who potentially in government allowed for a lot of these things to take place, whether we're talking about the fake immigration paperwork that we've heard from a lot of the survivors.
Of course, Donald Trump is feeling panicked right now. He is actively watching and leading his MAGA coalition to fracture. Donald Trump is attacking anyone who stands up against him at a time in which standing up to Donald Trump is kind of becoming popular in the Republican Party. I honestly think that Marjorie Taylor Greene would have won a primary against the Trump-endorsed challenger because every action he is taking is just so terrible lately. Donald Trump, on the Epstein files, is underwater with Republicans. Even they, by a double-digit margin, are furious with his handling of this cover-up, not of this investigation, because it's not, it's a cover-up, but they're pissed off with Donald Trump. He understands that, and so, of course, in this moment, he's freaking out on Truth Social. Earlier this week, we saw him threaten to kill Democratic members of Congress. He's posting tantrums, he's melting down, and he's doubling down on that melting down with these posts right here. I guess Trump decided that posting himself as a king again, with Democrats bending at his knees, I see Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, and Adam Schiff, was the real way to win our hearts. I don't know, but this has just kind of disturbed everybody. Trump also reshared this tweet from Glenn Beck, writing, "A group of Democrats crossed a line for the first time in our history when they told the military and CIA the president's orders are optional. I don't believe it was treasonous, but it was seditious, and just as dangerous because of the message it sends to the world." So Donald Trump is saying that Democrats are going to submit and bend the knee to him, and everyone's going to suffer and pay because Democrats are saying he shouldn't instruct military officials to carry out illegal orders, and if he does, which he has, mind you, they should disobey them, because just like ICE will be, anyone following in Donald Trump's illegal expansion of his regime will be held accountable. If you're breaking the law, I was just following orders is not an excuse. But along with these posts, Donald Trump also posted evidence that he's breaking the law when Alyssa Slotkin said this in a video Trump shared.
Asked his Secretary of Defense and his chairman of the Joint Chiefs to, quote, shoot at their legs at unarmed protesters in front of the White House that he wanted moved.
Actually, I know you're talking about Mark Esper's book. He didn't exactly say that. He said the president suggested that, but they were never ordered to do that.
And he got out of the Oval Office quickly so that he wasn't told to actually do it. And I give him a lot of credit for that. I give him a lot of credit.
So let's talk right now. Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal, but certainly there are some legal gymnastics that are going on with these Caribbean strikes and everything related to Venezuela.
Now, Senator Slotkin certainly should have gone much farther in calling out Donald Trump. He has broken the law. I don't think it's legal chicanery or gymnastics, these indiscriminate bombings of innocent civilians on international waters. That's not legal gymnastics, that's illegal. Donald Trump is breaking the law. Republicans have said that. Rand Paul is saying that. So Donald Trump, though she wasn't as forceful as she should have been, is sharing a video in which Alyssa Slotkin says, yeah, Donald Trump is breaking the law. Again, Senator, maybe a little more forceful next time. If Rand Paul is willing to say, yes, Donald Trump killing people on international waters with no justification, cause, and if there is justification and cause, you should detain the boat. That's what the Coast Guard is for, and have these people tried. That's what we do in America. But Donald Trump isn't doing that. He's just killing fishermen. Rand Paul is saying it. I think we all then should be able to say it. It's not some crazy allegation or accusation, but I find it interesting that of all the Democrats who were on the Sunday shows today, one clip that Donald Trump did not share when he was trying to justify his illegal killings was this one of Jason Crow right here.
How do you respond to these allegations from your colleagues, fellow veterans, that what you have put out there is weakening and corrosive to the military?
Well, these unfortunately are some of Trump's core supporters that are rallying behind the president, and they know better. They know exactly the difference between lawful versus unlawful. We were very clear in the video that what we're talking about is unlawful orders. You have the president's spokesperson going into a press conference this past week and saying that we called for people to disobey lawful orders. They're simply lying because the truth is unacceptable to them. It's unacceptable. We wanted to start a conversation, and we did, about the dangerous rhetoric this president is using and the threats that he's made to use our military in an unlawful way.
Specifically what?
Well, send troops into Chicago, send troops into polling stations, kill terrorists' families, arrest and execute members of Congress, shoot peaceful protesters in Lafayette Square. Need I go on?
Democrats, model yourself after what Jason Crow said right here. Be forceful in your condemnation. There is overwhelming disapproval, and I talked about it in a video with Sam Stein on the Bulwark today, of not just Donald Trump's disastrous economic policies, but this planned maybe invasion war with Venezuela is incredibly unpopular. 70% of Americans are saying, why are we doing this? This is idiotic. And an even more overwhelming majority have no idea why Donald Trump wants to go to war in the first place. This is an unpopular action by Trump that hasn't been explained, no one understands, and so we should be forceful in condemning it. If Americans don't understand why the President of the United States wants to go to war with Venezuela, other than the fact that he wants a distraction from the Epstein files and something to give him more military power so maybe he can shut down the midterms, we should be the ones explaining it. We should be saying that Donald Trump is doing this to distract from the Epstein files, to expand his authoritarian project, and why else? Well, because Donald Trump is a criminal and he is breaking the law, and anyone who participates in this should be held accountable. And Donald Trump is making death threats against Democrats because he knows that's the case. Speak in plain English. It is not that difficult to say that the man convicted of 34 felonies is a criminal and continues to commit criminal actions in the White House. People are well aware of this, so we should just speak freely about it. We do not have to be like them. They are all convoluted and weird and tongue-tied like Scott Bessent was right here.
Well, and banana prices are up almost 7%. Coffee prices up nearly 19%. Isn't the fact that you're rolling back tariffs an admission that ultimately they do drive up prices for consumers?
Kristen, how much does your arm weigh?
That I do not know.
Exactly. But you know how much you weigh. You get on the scale every morning. Inflation is a composite number, and we look at everything.
This is just hilarious. Like, what is he thinking? Scott Bessent is one of the least charming people I've ever seen. Donald Trump has picked his cabinet based on who is telegenic, who is charismatic, certainly not who is good at their job. And I don't find Pete Hegseth charming. Pam Bondi, certainly not. Kristi Noem is a despicable figure, but they work well on MAGA television. Scott Bessent asking Kristen Welker how much she weighs in response to why are you jacking up prices isn't really political like spin 101. What was he thinking? I don't know. But the talk of bananas kind of reminds me of the greatest tariff clip of all time. This clip right here.
There's no uncertainty if you build in America and you produce your product in America, there will be no tariff.
We can't
so
produce
the concept
bananas in
of
America.
building in America and paying no tariff
We cannot,
is very, very clear.
We cannot
Fighting
build
for imports
bananas in America.
Time of the gentlelady has expired.
There are no deals, there's no negotiations, there's no tariff that's going to help us. Donald Trump is jacking up costs. People, especially right now when there's more purchasing going on than any other time in the year, understand that, and we should call it out forcefully and make him melt down on Truth Social because we are doing so. We're going to do it on this show. Trump accounts have posted about me before, so maybe I make him melt down. I don't know if I'm going to get the Harry Sisson shit treatment, but, you know, a girl can dream. We'll continue to piss Donald Trump off. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. Leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.